Let me bring you some of the day's other news now. The government says fully driverless cars could be on the country's roads by 2027. The ride-hailing app Uber says it's ready to add robo-taxis to its service as soon as the law changes. Uber already runs them in other countries. They're fully automated with no one behind the wheel. The company that runs music festivals in Brockwell Park says they'll all go ahead as planned despite Friday's High Court ruling against Lambeth Council. The events appeared to be in doubt after the judge ruled in favour of campaigners who opposed the festivals. But Brockwell Live says the ruling dealt with a particular point of law and no event will be cancelled as a result. And the Barbican Centre has released new images of its plans to refurbish 3 spaces as part of a £240 million redesign of the complex. The plans include a new water feature and revamped foyers, which are part of the Barbican's renewal programme. Construction is expected to begin in 2 years' time. Next, the power of community connection in what can sometimes feel a lonely city. A woman who moved to London from India for her husband's new job 3 years ago started an online group to meet other women in similar positions who may feel isolated. Well, it quickly grew and now has more than 38,000 members. Here's Lavina Shenoy sharing her story with us.
I'm Lavina Shenoy. 3 years ago, I created a community for Indian women and we are now 38,000 members. I moved to London back in 2022. When I came here, after a week, I realized that the sun started setting at 2 p.m. and I'm going to end up being really lonely and depressed. And I had no friends. I didn't know anyone. So on 3rd March 2022, I started Indian Women in London and UK Facebook group. And we had 100 women join the group. Within a week, we had 500 women on the group. And now we have 38,000 women on our Facebook group.
Invite your friends to our community. We have a lot of things coming shortly.
There are different ages of women here, some are in their 30s, some are their 40s, 50s, and it really helped that you find a mother in somebody, you find a grandmother in somebody, you find a friend in someone.
So back in India, you got your family, you have your school friends, you have your college friend, you have your entire support system and you're in your comfort zone. But when you come to a new country, you're suddenly just left, you're just all by yourself. It's really depressing because you feel that you had such a big family support back then and here you don't have anyone. And how do you kickstart your life? So a community like us, I think, gives those wings to women.
I have never seen jealousy in this group.
We try to help other girls as well. A few months back, there is one girl on the Facebook. She put some comments like, she really needs help. She has been thrown out with her kids and she's outside. She didn't know what to do basically. So that is her first call of where she could go to.
It is always like having a place to go to, having somebody to reach out to, even if it is 2 a.m. in the night. We have the confidence that we can message in this group. This group won't judge. We don't have these lashing back messages. There are no politically divided, or there is no such, you belong from this region in India or you come from this part of London. It's not like that.
We are like the home away from home for the Indian women in UK. I think that's the biggest support system for us.
There. Now, talking about the power of connection, what a weekend it was for London teams in the FA Cup. Just look at that at Wembley. We'll talk about Chelsea women in a moment, but first to that historic win for Crystal Palace, their first ever major trophy after a 1-0 win against Manchester City. Fans were absolutely ecstatic. It was a great day for South London.
Live on BBC Radio London. It's the day this radio station was invented for.
Come on, Palace! I didn't think I'd ever see this in my life. I can't believe it. It's fantastic!
And South London erupts in the most extraordinary celebration.
It was a fantastic party for the whole area.
My head's rather sore, but incredible, amazing.
Yeah, I'm really emotional.
These Crystal Palace players have done something that no other Palace player has ever done before.
And joining me now is podcast host and huge Palace fan, Dan Cook, who's there watching the game with his dad. Welcome, great to have you here. That must have been a special moment.
Honestly, the best day of my life, I have to say. The 2016 final, I was there with my dad. We went 1-0 up in that game and we were in front for about 90 seconds, ended up losing it, and to get back there and do it, in the third time of us being in the final was just a fantastic moment.
And is it true, and you don't often hear this in this day and age, that you didn't even take your phone out during the game because you wanted to just feel and savour every moment?
Yeah, I mean, I had it with me, obviously, because you have to have your phone in modern day, but I think I'm on social media so much that I just wanted to savour the day as a whole and make sure that I was there and present for everything, and obviously it ended up in the perfect way, so it was just a great day all round.
Yeah. And can you describe, because obviously we weren't there, can you describe how the atmosphere felt in Wembley?
I mean, obviously, when you're part of it, you assume that it's the best thing ever. But I spoke to a number of people on social media afterwards, and they were all saying it was some of the best noise they've ever heard. And it was just an incredible thing, I think, for everyone, because of the amount of people that have never seen it. And you've got generations of Palace fans, grandparents, parents, and everyone else just desperate for it to happen and for it to actually come true. Just fantastic.
Yeah. And then it did. That 16th minute goal, we can see Eze there lying down on the pitch. And in the words of our BBC Radio London sports commentator Nick Godwin, he says he plays football like he's dancing.
I mean, he's a great footballer. He always has been with us since he joined from QPR a fair few years ago. Born in South London, and he scored the opening goal in the quarter-final, opening goal in the semi-final, and scored the winner in the final. So you can't really do much better than that.
Yeah. And we can see, just looking at the faces of people there at the stadium, you were there. It does seem like this win has transcended football, and in South London, perhaps the whole area felt part of this historic moment.
Well, I got back to Crystal Palace at about 9:45 last night, and there were car horns beeping, there were people dancing down the street, music pumping, and people filming out of their windows. It just felt incredible to be a part of, because it's the sort of thing you see in films and don't think it's going to happen to you. So to be a part of it was just unreal, really.
Did you cry?
Yeah, floods of tears, absolutely floods. I thought it was going to be a rogue one, ended up just bawling my eyes out of full time, to be quite honest.
And there are still celebrations to come on Bank Holiday Monday. Have you got an inside track on that?
I believe that the plan might be to go to Crystal Palace Park. I don't know, but it would make the most sense. Obviously, it's the name of the club, and it's just that such an iconic venue, because you've got the tower there, you've got the Sphinxes in the park. So hopefully we can get everyone down there and enjoy the day.
Can you describe briefly, what does this mean for South London?
Well, I think obviously there are different clubs in South London, and I dare say Charlton and Millwall fans won't be particularly happy that we've won it. But in general, just seeing the amount of happy faces, I was walking around today, and there are people in Palace shirts just beaming from ear to ear, and you realise how big this is for everybody, and hopefully it's just the start of it for us.
The magic of the FA Cup, eh? Well, listen, congratulations, and thank you so much for being with us here today. Thanks, Dan. And then Wembley saw another London team lift the FA Cup trophy in the women's final. Chelsea beat holders Manchester United 3-0 to complete the domestic treble after their Women's Super League and League Cup success earlier in the season. Inspiring to many, not least a younger generation, hoping to follow in their footsteps. So imagine the Chelsea captain turning up to your training session with the FA Cup. Layla Hayes has the story.
This was the moment Millie Bright lifted the trophy after Chelsea won the Women's FA Cup at Wembley this weekend.
Chelsea's treble winning.
And today she was showing off that trophy to hundreds of delighted schoolgirls at the Kings Meadow Stadium, Chelsea Women's home ground.
You could see how excited the girls were when you walked in there, Millie. Is it nice to know that you really are such an inspiration to them?
Yeah, it's massive, and it's something that I pride myself on. I think ever since I first came to this club, I've always cared about the next generation and the academy girls, the foundation girls. That's what I love so much about our game, is that we all feel a responsibility to help the next generation, to give them those role models. My generation didn't have that.
The Chelsea Foundation's mission is to grow grassroots football for girls, and the success of players like Millie certainly helps.
It's hoped sessions like this will encourage and support young girls to play football and perhaps create the stars of the future.
Oh, honestly, it is so amazing, because obviously before, all the girls always got put down by the boys, but as life has carried on and the years have gone on, girls have actually shown that most of them are more powerful than boys, and that girl power is there.
And how do you feel when you see Chelsea's women doing so well?
I feel very good, because women don't really get that opportunity back in the day. So I think it's really good that women can finally play football freely.
The women's team are just phenomenal. Yes, they're amazing on the pitch, but actually off the pitch as well, just in terms of how they support. Having role models for girls, girls they can look and say, I can be that in the future, I think is amazing.
A trophy is nice, but helping the next generation can be just as rewarding. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
Oh, and congratulations, Chelsea women. And staying with Chelsea, but this time the blooms. Because yes, it's time for grand garden designs and gorgeous floral displays at this year's Chelsea Flower Show. Ahead of its opening to the public tomorrow, Frankie McCamley brings us a sneak peek of some of the gardens on display, including one designed by the Chelsea pensioners for the first time.
It sure does go on for these Chelsea pensioners, bringing the tune to the bloom in their first ever garden display here at the Chelsea Flower Show.
From the very beginning, we were asked, well, what would you like to see in this garden?
And what did you say?
Some had suggestions as to the sorts of plants and trees that they wanted. We talked about this table. We met with the people that made this and told them that we would like something that we could reminisce about. We suggested a map that would enable us to push these little things around and see where we were posted.
A short walk to another garden that's also helping people.
The whole garden brings me joy. It makes me feel safe.
Rhea was introduced to horticulture during her time in prison.
I understand the power of nature, and I didn't recognise those prior to coming into custody, because until something's taken away from you, you take it for granted.
She's now employed by the Glasshouse Social Enterprise, which offers women jobs on release.
Seeing women come behind me, I can see how they change. What you do matters. Instead of being somebody that doesn't matter, you matter to those plants, because if you don't give them their basic needs, they're not going to nourish.
Following the show, the garden will be moved to Bronzefield Women's Prison in Sutton.
For many of us in the capital, we don't have huge outdoor spaces. We may just have a balcony like this one. And here at Chelsea Flower Show, there are lots of ideas as what you can do with your balcony. This display specifically looks at how you can live alongside bees. What you wouldn't believe is this table is actually a beehive, and those holes in the wood behind me are homes for bees.
There are also environmental concerns being highlighted, with water scarcity a very real issue in the capital. So this team are focusing on plants that don't need much hydration.
The climate is changing, and in some ways things are getting drier in certain parts. These plants are plants that have been born out of sort of hardship, and they're resilient, and we thought it would be really interesting to bring them along.
Along with all of the incredible designs on display at this world-renowned flower show in their backyard. Frankie McCamley, BBC London, Chelsea.
And it's actually around the whole area that flowers are bursting into bloom. The display is getting bigger and more creative each year for the Chelsea in Bloom Trail, which you can follow for free. Let's join Corsa, who's taking it all in and can tell us more before we get a check on the weather. Good evening.
Good evening, Riz. It's looking pretty spectacular here in Chelsea and in and around the Sloane Square area for, of course, Chelsea in Bloom. This is London's largest free-to-attend flower festival, and it's running from today all the way through to Sunday. It's in its 20th year, and the theme this year is fashion, and there are over 130 shops, restaurants and hotels taking part, with some pretty spectacular flower displays and some giant installations as well. We've got a giant handbag, if you can catch sight of that, also a giant red lipstick, a red stiletto heel, and a rather funky punk's head. So will the weather play ball if you're heading down here or going to the Chelsea Flower Show itself? Well, there will be sunshine in the forecast for tomorrow. So that is the good news. There is lots of sunshine for tomorrow, and it will be warm as well. So if we take a look at this forecast, there will be some showers as well. Those showers likely on Wednesday, but I'll get to the detail of that in a moment. Now, if you are heading out this evening though, it will be dry out there. There's going to be clear skies overnight tonight as well. And temperatures as we head through the night, it's going to be clear skies, just a bit of cloud perhaps developing across more northern parts of the capital, maybe into Luton, and temperatures overnight, dipping to around the mid to high single figures. So it will be quite chilly in a few spots, but with those clear skies, it does mean for tomorrow morning, it's a dry, bright start. There'll be plenty in the way of sunshine around. Any low cloud that is around will tend to lift. There'll be a few patches of cloud perhaps bubbling up, but it won't take away from the day. Bright blue skies and warm, the warmest day of the week, temperatures reaching around the low to mid 20s quite widely, up to around 24 Celsius quite widely. So lots of dry weather in the forecast for tomorrow. Now for tomorrow evening though, we are expecting, whilst there will be clear to start, more in the way of cloud building in from the west. So a cloudier end to the night for tomorrow night, and temperatures will be milder as a result. So overnight lows tomorrow of around 10 or 11 Celsius. But it is a very different sort of day on Wednesday. If we take a wider look at the UK, and you can see there are some showers brewing and arriving in from the west, and they will affect us too. So for Wednesday, if you do catch some of these showers, they have the potential to be heavy, possibly thundery in places as well, and it won't be as warm as a result. So closer look at the UK, at London, and you can see there are some showers around, a lot of cloud around, and temperatures only reaching around 17 to 19 Celsius. And if you do catch those showers, they will be quite heavy. But for the rest of the week, Thursday, Friday, still a chance of 1 or 2 showers, but much more in the way of drier weather, temperatures in the teens, but some rain on its way for the weekend. And that's your forecast.
Thanks, Corsa. That's it. More on our website, including the London restaurant trials of air purifiers to help cut pollution, plus why Crystal Palace's win was not just about the football. That's also on BBC Sounds. It's a wonderful listen. From me and all the team here, thanks very much for watching, and do enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.